Today, we're going to be looking at the 10 saddest moments in the new anime titled Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead, which has already become a huge success even though the first season isn't even fully out. This show follows the life of our protagonist named Akira Tendo as he goes on a journey to do the 100 things he always wanted to do before he gets infected and turns into a zombie like everyone else. At number 10, the sad moment is about Shizuka's dog. In this episode, we see a flashback of her life as a child, and we're shown a time where she found a lost puppy on the streets and took it home. Unfortunately though, when she gets home, her strict father refuses to let her keep it and bluntly tells her to throw it away. But instead, Shizuka hides the puppy in the attic and nurtures it there from time to time. As a child, she didn't have any friends, so the puppy was the closest thing she had to a companion. Shizuka develops a very strong bond with the dog over time, but one day, her father finds out about it and orders that a hot dog be made with the puppy. Afterward, she returns to the attic and she just sits there, sobbing for the loss of her best friend. Next, we have Kensho's apology. Before Akira even got a job at the exploitative company, he had a very close friend in college, Kensho, who had a knack for comedy and telling many bad jokes as well. Akira remembers the time when Kensho, who later became a real estate agent, advised him to quit his dead-end job. However, Akira was already so miserable that he became jealous to the point that he no longer wanted to hear about Kensho's good life, so they argued and parted ways. Nevertheless, now that he had his life back, he wanted to meet up with Kensho, so he tracked him down. Akira ended up saving Kensho from a horde of zombies and they made it up to a rooftop, but after Akira jumps, Kensho fears he won't make it. At this point, he apologizes to Akira for the way he always bragged about his lavish life and reveals that he was also miserable at his job. He hated the fact that he had to lie to customers every day and admitted that all he wanted was to become a stand-up comedian. Hearing this, Akira consoles him and reminds him of the good times they had in college, encouraging him to survive so he can fulfill his dream. With his support, Kensho summons the courage to jump and Akira catches him. Next on the list is Akira's heartbreak. In this scene, our protagonist finds out that his crush in the office is actually their boss's mistress. Akira fell in love with a stunning coworker named Otori, but he was always too shy to confess his feelings. And one day, he found out that she was having an affair with the boss. Akira's heart sank as he saw her go into the boss's office, and his fears were confirmed when he heard them getting intimate, but all he could do was stand there crushed. Number 7 on the list has to be Akira's long walk home after working at the office for 3 days. This has to be one of the saddest scenes in the show because of just how relatable it is. We see him staggering home at night, feeling extremely miserable. He contemplates leaving his current job, but ultimately decides not to because he's not even sure that the next corporation he finds himself at won't end up being worse than the current job. On the way home, Akira begins to have dangerous thoughts and imagines that jumping on the train tracks would put him out of his misery. When he finally gets home, he goes to bed wishing that he would go to sleep and never wake up just so he wouldn't have to go to work again. At number 6, we have the confession at the treehouse. In episode 9, Akira and his companions were traveling to meet his parents, but stopped along the way because the tunnel leading to the other side of the road was blocked. They continued the journey on foot through the forest, and there they met an old man named Kumano who took them to the treehouse he was building in the forest. There, Kumano broke down in tears while telling Akira about how he always thought he would be able to build the treehouse with his son. Unfortunately, he was wrong, and now he had to build it all by himself. Seeing this, Akira remembers how he left his parents in their village 3 years ago and realizes that he hasn't been a good son since then because he never bothered to repay them for all they did for him. This emotional and tear-jerking scene closes with Akira promising to help Kumano finish building the treehouse. The next sad moment in this anime is the loss of a new friend. Earlier in the show, when it was just Akira and Kensho traveling through the apocalyptic country together, they came across a group of survivors hiding from the zombies in a building consisting of 3 girls and an old man. There, Akira took a liking to one of the 3 girls they met, and although they got off on the wrong foot, they eventually got closer during the short time they spent together, because she could relate to his experience at the dead-end job. Unfortunately, she got bit by a zombie, and realizing that she couldn't save herself, she comforted a heartbroken Akira and encouraged him to run away before she fully transformed into a zombie. As she sacrificed herself to save him, Akira ran away, crying bitterly for the loss of his new friend. Number 4 on the list is Akira's oppression. In this episode, Akira and his companions are traveling when suddenly they're ambushed by a group of men led by his old cruel boss. In the process, Kensho is severely injured and their motorhome is damaged. The boss offers to help treat Kensho and protect them from the zombies if Akira comes to work for him again for 2 days. Akira accepts the deal but quickly realizes that his old boss is just as cruel and manipulative as he always was. He overworks him and treats him badly, causing Akira to start reliving the nightmares he had in the office. He gets brainwashed and loses his will, so he continues to suffer at the hands of the mean boss. Thankfully, Shizuka manages to snap him out of it and brings him back to his senses. At number 3, we have the death of a kind couple. Shortly after the apocalypse broke out, Akira met a couple living beside his house while climbing down the pipes one day. He introduced himself to the friendly neighbors who'd been hiding indoors since the zombies took over. Before heading out to the convenience store, he promised to help them with some supplies, but unfortunately, when he got back, all he found was their destroyed apartment covered in blood because they'd been attacked by the zombies. Seeing this, Akira could do nothing but cry because the only other survivors he could talk to were now gone. Number 2 on the list is Shizuka's confession in the pond. When Akira and Shizuka are relaxing in a pond one night, she finally reveals that the reason she's so uptight and cold at times is because of the way her father raised her. As mentioned earlier, her father was a very strict perfectionist who always wanted her to obey him without question. And because of this, she grew up always resentful, hiding her true feelings, and didn't know how to love or admit it either. After telling her sad story to Akira, he finally understands her, and she promises to speak up about her true feelings in the future. And finally, at number 1, which just happens to be the saddest moment in the anime so far, we have Akira's confession to Otori. From the first day he met Otori, he was love-struck. This heart-wrenching scene took place after the apocalypse when Akira finally became happy for the first time in 3 years. He realized that life was short, so he went to Otori's apartment to confess his feelings, not caring if she was someone else's mistress. Unfortunately, when he got there, it was too late, because she and the boss were already infected. Akira killed the boss for good, but was devastated to see that his first love was also infected. Even though she had become a hideous monster who wouldn't understand him, Akira went on to confess his love to her, and as he did, tears rolled down his face. Eventually, Otori attacked him, but he managed to escape, saying a final goodbye to the only woman he ever loved.